minutes, 4 minutes, 4 minutes.
Come on, let's go.
Alright, hang on, hang on.
Marcus, come on, now.
Alright, jeez.
Don't be afraid to borrow. Chord progressions, sounds, little ditties, tiny things. Just snatch them all up. And that's one of the reasons why I can churn stuff out, is because I don't have a problem with reusing or borrowing something that I heard. And I used to, because I thought it was not original, not creative. But I quickly found out that I am not original or creative. I can't make up a new thing. And I very much doubt, anyways, that any of the people that I listen to were the first ones to think of a particular progression. And so once you get over that, sounding good is easy. You just borrow. Basically, let's just copy it and just do a little changey thing and pretend, like it's yours. No one will know. No one knows. The new generation now can steal everything from the older generation and pretend like it's theirs.
Ooh, it's kind of controversial.
Is it?
Obviously, chords and melodies, there's only so many different things you can do.
Yeah, you don't want to push it. Don't be blatant about it. Be subtle. Like a sneaky thief in the night. And also be respectful, like leave them like a little note saying thank you very much for what you've done. If you listen enough, you start to pick up on the enormous amount of repetitive, the same over and over and over again. Within the same artist all the time. It's easy to churn out a lot of songs if you have a lot of different chord progressions in your mind and you know that, you know what, if I do this and I do this, it'll sound new enough.
God dang. Alright, we're going to start the day with some world building. It's really weird. Like, my hands will be at, like, alright, you can play video games level of comfort in, like, 2 hours. But they always start the morning a mess. And I'm starting to wonder if I need to actually go swimming, like, do workout stuff in the morning before I do this. Because that seems like it helps my hands and my arms. Just having to do activity, like, significant activity before changes the blood flow. So there is a good chance I will get distracted at least twice during this stream because I paid the $25 for Boscone, which is the Boston sci-fi writing. Yeah, no, there should only be 4 comments. The Boston sci-fi horror writing convention. I'm a little sad I missed the chance for the I hate German. With Tamara Pierce. But there's some really interesting stuff in here. The good news is most of the stuff I want to watch is being recorded and is stuff I can get to later. And for $25 for access to a whole writing convention seemed like a good deal for a month till the end of the month. Seemed like a good deal to me. Yeah, I only added 4 comments. Also, you did a good job. Yeah. I think the bits I noted are where it was weak, but also if you consider the character that's speaking it fits. Oh, okay. Yeah. Not that I remember Sazed's speech pattern, but I have read Mistborn. Okay. As long as you're able to actually speak in that style, then you're fine. Because that's the difference, right, between TRPG and writing, is that you have to act that specific vocal style. I should have gotten the steroid shots. I shouldn't have chickened out about the steroid shots. Now I have to wait till the end of March to do them. Okay. Oh, fudge nuggets. I realized to really accurately develop a DRU government, I need to know what the Empire government was. The reunification, Dralian Reunification Union. They're most commonly the Union. They're the other quote-unquote good guys in the Civil War. You're gonna ask that question, and one day I will have made my bed. Jija boo boo. Black kitten on brown sheets. So, the Union comes from, had a Shay and Dryad ruled government that was autocratic but decentralized. Oh wow, that's fun. Got your exercise in. But the DRU is, so you have a autocratic, hierarchical, like feudal decentralized structure, and then you have a military-based occupation government from an imperial that break away from their home country when their home country splits into civil war. So I'm trying to figure out what that culture blend becomes, and I'm thinking it's something like an aristocratic republic. So you have the Star-Crowned, who's your head executive, similar to a president, but probably with a little more autocratic authority. Similar to a modern president, honestly. With some more... who serves and is a peer among peers from the Constellation of Seasons, which is like the Lords, or it's a nobility council, upper nobility council. And then you have a lower nobility council, which is lower nobility and merchants of significant wealth. And then at the lower level, down to semi-planetary, it's a representative government. Right? Like, you still elect the person who's going to more or less determine your local taxes and what roads get built. But you don't get to determine who controls the empire at large. That tracks with my brain. And that is different than the Imperium, which is technically an enlightened autocracy, but yeah, it's technically an enlightened autocracy. Get that. You have an election system that goes all the way up to the full national level, as well as a connected set of appointed individuals. Why is it that I invented this structure twice? I forget, is the Vinolo... Well, this was wrong. Do they have a vestigial monarchy instead? I think they do. The DRU is set up like the British. Cool. I'm able to think of like 4 different structures for democracy, and they all end up looking somewhat like the British or the Roman. Oh, there we go. I got the spot. Ow. Oh. I need to get a left-handed mouse just to force myself to use a different mouse. Ah. Alright, so if it's a vestigial monarchy, the Stark Crown is the actual head of executive, which is elected specifically from the ranks of the upper nobility. And then you have... What is the thing that's smaller than a season? So, I'm trying to think. If we're talking about the fairy courts, right? Like, our mythology, a version of our mythologized fairy courts, the seasons are their big thing. So, if you're gonna blend that, you have the, you have the Court of Seasons. Court of Winter and Summer. Winter down Summer. Which is the Vestigial Monarchy. You have... And that is what you would have from the fairy courts. Then you have the Star Crowns, which would be a occupation government enforced prime minister, but adopting the language of the fairy. Oh no, you know what? It would be, maybe they call it the Custodian of the Stars. And when they break away from the empire itself, they have to reorganize, and the court remains a vestigial monarchy. But you then have what amounts to a council of nobility who elect the Custodian of the Stars. And so that would be... Well, actually, this would be Wind. Which probably would have been called the Court of Seasons, but because of the occupation government, has become the Constellation of Seasons. That makes sense. And I need something for smaller people, like lesser nobility, merchants of wealth, people who are able to, you know, who don't officially have any power, but have basically a like House of, you know, what is it? Not House of Lords, House of Commons, or House of Representatives style, like smaller scale, not powerful economic or like governmentally, but still powerful. What would you call it? It'd be... Honestly, I might call it the Minor Conclave. I wonder if this should be custodian of the constellation custodian. I need another good word for star grouping. Oh, nope, not nebula. I need good words for groups of stars. An asterism. Star cluster. What are cool star names? Hello, Dorothea. How you doing?
You know, I mean, I don't know
Asterism.
I half wrote, but never quite finished, and never finished recording, or never even started recording. No one knows that those songs existed.
I need to go back to the
So it kind of
Imperium
doesn't
government here
count until you
really quickly.
finish it and then put it out into the world. Now, I'm not saying put crap out into the world, but there comes a time when finishing and moving on, I think, is and I think if you want to grow as any sort of creative person, you need to finish things.
Up a level. Bump it down a level. Bump over here. It might honestly just be the minor constellation. So you have the grand and the minor.
That cliche of art is not finished, it's abandoned. Yes, it can always be better. But you have to finish and you have to put it out, because otherwise you're just the guy talking about your art. You're not the guy doing it. You get better by doing it, finishing it, learning from that process, and moving on to the next thing.
Oh, that helps pop my back too. That's really funny. I might call them conclaves. No, constellation makes sense. I can never remember the... There we go. don't know why Duke and Prince are flip. You know what? I'm just gonna make my own table. So you've got Prince, Duke, Marquis, Count, Marquis, Count. I'm adding a couple extra here, because technically Earl and Count are the same rank, but because nobody at any point ever agreed on what nobility knight. No. Because at no point has anybody ever agreed on what rankings nobility have. Ever. So, European monarchy would give you... I don't know why hero's on there, but... Chevalier, Knight, Chevalier, Baronet, Baron, Viscount, Count, Marquis, Duke, Archduke. Oh, you know what? I am going to actually purge Prince and have that be Archduke. So I would say you probably have to be a... Because archdukes are in charge of planets, dukes are in charge of... system custodians. Planetary systems and, like, regions of space are governed by custodians. There's no reason to put this much effort into this shit. It's a country we're never going to visit, but... Well, that's not true. It's not a country we're never going to visit. It's a country we're not going to visit very often. Technically. Probably. Maybe? Rank. Control. Governance. So you have... You have... So you have Custodian of the Constellation, who... Systems. Does it make sense for archdukes to be planetary, or should they be systemic? Like they should archduke be in charge of a planetary system? So people can actually read it. I don't know how you would do that because that's French. Marquis is French. And I don't know how you would... Like, it wouldn't be Marquisal. Would it? But I think at right about Marquis level, you end up with I think at this point is when you end up with honestly, I think at the ducal level you end up with the constellation of the popular constellation. Democratic body. All right. Lord Dukes. So It doesn't have financial. God, the DRU is a fucking mess. I will be right back. Add a return. You know what? These are going to be called councils, not constellations. You're good. Oh, which reminds me, I need to actually send a link of this to... I have built 2 governments so far, and they are just clusterfucks. So, the DRU government consists of nobility with noble demses, fucking French word. So, like, an Archduke is in charge of a planet, right? They are the primary executive of a planet. But they have to share some level of authority with the Ducal Council, who has to share some level of authority with the Marquis Council, and a democratically elected body. But once you get up above the planetary level, it is all bureaucratic appointees and a head of state that is elected from all Archduke and Duke, probably. So is elected out of that number, out of their own body of archdukes and dukes. They elect a head of state who shares cultural authority with the former Winter and Summer Queens, which are a vestigial monarchy, but also retain the authority of ennobling. And so, while they retain no executive power authority or judicial authority, they retain some level of actual governmental authority. And all of that upper level executive shares some level of control from a constellation of seasons, a minor constellation of seasons, which is basically a popular body that has only the effective power of bureaucratic appointment. So kind of a House of Commons kind of situation. By population. Which is just this, I don't actually know if this government would work or not, but it's just this Byzantine level of, like, layering on authorities within popular election, within authority, within a popular election kind of thing. Which is the point. This is supposed to be a system that doesn't make any sense to anybody who's not from this system. forget everything.
Tiny flames will dance across the darkness.
That's dumb. Alright, that is a horrendously Byzantine system that I have several notes that, that entire system is insane, and no rational set of people would put it together. But also, I have a note in here. In the DRU, it's not unnormal for, like, a Earl who ignores, like, his commoner council, his, like, commoner nebulae, and does a whole bunch of stuff, runs roughshod over his local commoners, to just end up dead. And as long as it's done with subtlety, nobody, like, people care, but it's kind of accepted as a fact of the way this goes. Like, nobility that get out of hand and end up dead weren't good at their job. Yeah, and, like, that's a very Feoran thing of, like, look, if you do it, there's not enough plausibility, and it's existed into the DRU of, like, it's the way it goes. Or economically ruined, or, you know, dramatically embarrassed, or something. It doesn't always have to be dead, but... And so, even in the DRU, the appearance of face is very important. It's not quite as important as it is in the Fae. Now, the question is, does the DRU give high... Okay, so... High justice is retained for custodians and the courts. Only for the courts. Low justice by the nobility. The courts have on Alright, so your local baron retains the right of low justice, which is imprisonment. Can't remember the difference between high and low justice. High and low justice. Oh, high, middle, low. So, high justice is blood justice. Middle justice is not very well defined. Low justice is everyday justice, so fines, light corporal punishment, things like that. Of course, it roots from Roman. So in a judicial system, high justice is retained by the courts. The courts also retain the authority to pass judgment on nobility. They are appointed. Judiciary is appointed by Custodian of Asterism and Minor Constellation. Alright, that works. It's a disaster, but... So executive and legislative are already done. Judicial is already done. I appreciate that at some point in the history, the largest popularly elected body, which has very little other authority, won the right to basically appoint the big like Supreme Court, or like upper circuit court judiciary, is their right. And at some point in that history, that is the right they like, you know, politically won. And so they might not have actual authority, but they technically control the courts. And the courts absolutely have the authority to pass judgment on nobility. But on a smaller scale, like, you get caught pickpocketing, you might get dragged in front of your local baron for him to pass judgment, or for them to pass judgment on you. Or the baron might just be like, no, I appointed a group of, like, I let the courts handle this bullshit. Which is fair, because a baron might just be like, I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to deal with parking tickets. Alright, cool. The DRU government is a disaster waiting to happen, and I love it. Because this chaos, this mess, plus, hold on. DRU retains the Feyya cultural significance of face. So in the DRU, and so this means protocolism is still important. So in the DRU, if you appear strong, even in the Feyya, if you appear strong, you are strong. In the DRU, if you appear strong, you still are strong. Like, it's still a, like, the appearance of strength conveys strength, the appearance of weakness conveys weakness, even if that is not the truth. It's a little less stabby in the dark than with the Feyya. But the politics. And I think that this feature right here, just the idea that his face and the appearance of strength are really vital to the culture, is what makes, like, Sylviana's having fun with the Imperium politics, right? Like, nothing about Imperium politics is remotely scary to her, because she comes from this culture where, like, you're balancing aristocratic, all the aristocratic nonsense and all that garbage that comes with those people, as well as a democratic structure and how they interplay with each other. Plus, it's still relatively normalized that you could just off an aristocrat every now and again, and it's considered an acceptable part of politics. Or a semi-acceptable part of politics, if you do it right. Yeah, it's enjoyable how clusterfucky this system is because it breeds somebody like Sylviana, which is the whole point of the DRU government. Now, I have a choice. I need to do the Dominion government at some point. Oh! I did the the Dominion's government already. The Dominion's government is kind of the most simple. It is just a straight autocracy. It is a straight imperial autocracy. I'm glad I did that. It is funny, though, that all three of these governments, although it makes sense, I'll get to that in a sec, all three of these governments have a House of Lords. Because even the Imperium... well, technically the Imperium doesn't have a House of Lords. They don't technically have nobility. But they have an autocratic line and a democratic line. I guess the Imperium is the most democratic, even though... and, non-nobility based. That's really funny. I have a note somewhere in here. I don't remember if her dad is a noble or if her father is a noble or not. Her dad is not. Her dad's a commoner. Because her father is a Shea Lord. God dang it, that's... Hold on. But what level of Shade Lord is he? Probably a Marquis. Yeah, because if the Krynax are an old Shea clan, they're at least a Marquis. they probably weren't ennobling during the occupation. But her dad's a straight-up commoner. I don't know if she's surrogacy or adoption. Let's roll a die and find out. That didn't help me. Right, sir. I can't decide if I feel like surrogacy. Well, especially surrogacy might make the most sense. Or it's more fun than adoption, right? Like this isn't about. There's no point where she's like, "Who's my real parents?" It's like, no, she's. Yeah, for Sylve. Is she an only child, or is it... Is she a quote-unquote twin? Did they have a dual surrogacy, one Shay surrogacy, one Draker surrogacy, and try to time them so that they were born relatively at the same time? That seems like something her parents would do. She's legally a twin. Well, it depends on gestation cycles of the Shay and the Drakers. Yes. Alright. Okay, Google, pick a number between 1 and 100.
Messages at your private terminal, Commander. Here's a random number, 32.
She is legally a twin. She has a Shay brother. Oh, I don't think... So the title is inherited, but I don't think the No, yeah, I think the territory... Surrogated? Apparently. Marquitum is a word. Marquita? Is that what it is? Or is that a name? Marquita's a name. A Margrave. No. Oh, a March. Duh. So the question is, do you inherit a noble title in the DRU? Or is a noble title awarded... I think a noble title might not be inherited. I don't think noble titles of patency are inherited. Which I don't actually think is the right set of words to use, but whatever. So DRU, 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 DRU. Oh, so one of the really cool things about BossCon is they have Filk circles still. Like, obviously they're Zoom-based, but, like, I didn't think Filk still existed. And clearly BossCon is an old convention if they've got Filk circles still. DRU, DRU. Noble titles are not inherited, although there is a bias to blooded. Which actually makes the role of the queen still really important, because while all of their nobility is functionally immortal, doesn't mean they're actually immortal. So she's legally a twin. Is she the big twin or the little twin? Dang, that's the third 8 I've rolled. Alright, River. Let me know. High or low, big twin or little twin? I'm gonna re-roll because I didn't actually figure out what I was rolling for. I think 8 means she's the little twin, but I don't know. Nine. She is the little twin. That's not the data rail. Really? That's twice it landed in the same little cockeyed position. The twins have 2 younger siblings. One adopted. High is Draker, low is Shay. One adopted. Okay, Google, pick a random number between 1 and 100. Okay. So, Sylviana has 3 siblings. One of which is a dryad. Like, technically the twins aren't born at the exact same moment within the exact same seconds, right? So there's always one twin who's a couple seconds older than the other one. And honestly, it might even be a whole day's difference here. But legally, they're acknowledged as twins. Yeah. Like, there might be a whole day's gap between these two. Given that you have 2 different species gestation rates and, you know, births and all of the complications that come with that. No. She's just the baby twin. And then she has a dryad sister. Well, a dryad sibling, technically. And a Shay. And a Shay, and they were adopted. And those siblings were adopted a couple hundred, you know, a lot later than effectively, it's the you know, it's the 15 years apart thing of like they're her kid siblings, but they weren't really related at all. Also, thank you, Joey, for the follow. You are apparently conscious. Now the problem is, I need to actually split this out of history and into its own category of family. doing? We're doing this because apparently instead of actually getting anything written, I'm just going to do character development and world building. Family. So, no to Draker. Yes to Dryad. Or, sorry, Draker Shay is not fertile. Dryad is because they're functionally the Asari from Mass Effect. So they basically... I think I wrote... Hold on, let me double check my note on that. Beast Tree, 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 Beast Tree. Feorin, Dryad. Yes to Dryad. Dryad are fertile with not every species, but many species. Because they basically use the non-Dryad genetics as a randomization cipher, not a like direct trait for trait. But not Shay and Draker. And not human. Human is not a baseline fertility cure. Yes. And Hobgoblin and Goblin, which is a subspecies, are fertile. And the dwarves out of the Feoran Empire are really weird. As are the Mige Yasuma. But generally speaking, there's not a lot of interspecies breeding. And Dryad, you don't get a half Dryad, half half Shay. You get a Dryad. And to keep the Dryads from overtaking all known creation with just Dryads, their fertility cycles are really long. Or the gaps between their fertile periods. Plus, they hatch in pods. Like, all the immortals have a much lower birth rate than the mortal species. But the dryads specifically have very extended fertile, like, very narrow windows of fertility. So, Artaven. Yeah. So Artaven technically is from a brand new cadet branch. The Javerka branch is a cadet branch of an older clan. So he is a second generation Javerka, and that's basically the only history the Javerka clan has. But I have him as a note of first son of 2 children. Does he have a sibling that I've just forgotten existed? I have forgotten about this note that Artaven has a sibling. Follow-up question. Are Artaven's parents alive? That's true, actually. The rebellions could have lost his sibling. Yeah, okay. Artaven's parents are dead. Good call. As of matter, Artaven's parents are dead. I forgot about that. Artaven's entire family doesn't matter. Because, well, that's not true. They could have had... He could have a very, like, a much younger sibling. Still around. Which I think would probably be a good idea, right? And I'm using clan, but I still haven't figured out the exact nature of family structure within the Imperium. Or actually, at this point, the Empire, but... How many siblings did he have? I have a note that he had one, but I think one's okay. He had one sister. Oh, okay, Google, pick a random number between 1 and 100. Okay. He had one sister. Where did she die? She died in some kind of accident. His parents didn't die in the rebellions. His parents died... I know what his dad did. His dad started like a mercenary company effectively. I don't know what his mother did. Actually, let me open up my history. It's funny that his parents are historical notes in a weird ass way. Actually, he's not going to be one. He's going to have 3 siblings. Okay. That's annoying. There are no pleasant ways for a Draker to die. Or, for that matter, a Shay or a Dryad. Like, every death is violent or disease-ridden or unfortunate. it's still what I would consider a violent death. You know, a lot of diseases, like, there are diseases that aren't, you don't die in a particularly horrible way, but you still die because of a disease. No, unless you count stress wrinkles. Actually, one died in the Ascension Wars. No, I think I actually kill one. I need them all dead by now, yeah. One died in the Ascension Wars. His parents survived the horrendous nightmare that was the Shadow Wars. And his parents die. Which dies where? Alright, his dad dies. His dad dies in the mutinies. And how does his mother die? Does she die in battle? Does she die by accident? Does she die by disease? Does she die by assassination? I don't know anything about his mother. Oh no. So his mother dies in the mutinies. So his mother dies in the Irdathian mutiny. Well, how old is he at the point of the mutiny? At the point of the mutiny, he's at least 1,000 years old. Okay. Right? He's about 600 years old. But she dies... Actually, no, she doesn't die in the mutiny. His mother dies during a civil... His mother is assassinated. By Sudathkin cleansers, leading a mass civil unrest movement. His father dies... Same spot. Or... So his father dies during the mutinies. But, do I kill his mother later? Does she die? Is she assassinated as part of the actual Civil War. Yeah, she's assassinated. His mother's is she spy? Does she become a spy? No, I think she becomes a diplomat. No, I think she becomes a spy. Is killed while on active assignment for the new Imperium. Yeah, and it's also, I don't want to get in the habit of giving my female characters diplomatic structure. So she's killed as a intelligence agency. Well, yeah. But I don't want it to be Kwar's unique. Like, I'm trying to avoid that and healing, the healer bias. His sister dies in an accident of whatever appropriate level of technology that is. He's got 2 non-binary / gender fluid siblings. You know, who kind of will change their pronouns and gender presentation by the century or whatever. One of which becomes a member of the DRU and then dies of a disease eventually. One of which is killed during the Ascension Wars, which is when the roughly industrial age society gets attacked by external aliens. So what that actually means is there are different Javerka... Oh, okay, let's see. So, he has extended family. There are multiple... Well, actually, I don't know if any of if their kids survive. Okay. Without 100% understanding the structure of families and the nature of families in the Imperium, which is going to bite me on the butt at some point. A lot. There is a... Well, let's find out. He probably outlived his sister's kids, too. Or there is a chance he's out. Okay. He has not outlived his sister's kids. So there's an entire DRU branch of the Javerkas. Maybe with a slightly different name, probably. Name has shifted. They're... Okay. Artavan is so old that it's a problem, right? Like... Fudge nuggets. Right about 2,500 years. I think they get married after about 300. So, like 2,200 years or something? I don't actually have the exact date of their wedding. I just know rough targeting. So she leaves the DRU a year after they start dating, but about 30 years after they've known each other. So I assume she gets married somewhere in the first part of the 10th age to Artavan. And then Matters starts at about 20... So it's about 2,200, 2,300 years. Roldoni Lise Ato Tuya Hatoven Ras is how old he is. He's almost 10,000 by the point of matter. Or by the point of recontact. Two questions. Does Sylviana have siblings? It's only been about 2,000 years since Artavan gets married to... Or, not Sylviana. Does Kayware have siblings? It's only been about 2,000 years since Artavan got married to Sylviana. Did Artavan lose a kid at one point earlier in his history? Or... So he loses his first love. Well, they break up. They become friends. Like, they just don't work as a couple. And she dies during to the Dominion. His first grand love abandons him to work for the Dominion. He has a bad relationship with a civvy. His V1 is a space explorer, or is an explorer, in the 8th Age, until she just disappears and never returns. Like, she is gone. Which leaves him largely heartbroken until he meets Sylviana. Like, oh, he's a fucking drama queen. He writes poetry about this. He absolutely writes poetry about this. And so there are thousands of years where he's not, he's having sex. But he's not in any serious dramatic relationships because he's effectively still pining for the one, and probably spends money. Probably spends a lot of money and time looking for her. Like, it is a famous story, right? Like, at this point, he's famous enough that it is, like, the story. There are plays about it. And eventually he does find her remains. But it takes centuries or millennia. It takes centuries to find the remains. So I don't think anywhere in there he would have had a kid. I think he was probably planning to have a kid with the Explorer. Oh, year 120 of the 10th Age is when they get married. Okay. 2079, I think. Nope. Plus 12. They've been married about 2,300 years. Alright, that tracks. So he hasn't had a kid. But he absolutely, dotes on this kid until this kid grows too old and dies. At what point is Artavan 3,500 years old? Why is the math so hard? It's sometime in the late 8th age. Okay. That's actually good to know. Sometime in the late 8th age is when he loses. I'm actually going to kill one of these kids. One dies before they have kids. I need a way to... What is just a small way to die? Like, not dies in battle, not... You know what? Dies of a stroke. Diagnosed heart condition before having kids. Undiagnosed heart condition, heart defect. But yeah, so you have healers, right? You have, and eventually you have really high-end tech, but things like strokes are just, can sometimes just be a set of like fluke bad luck that compound and just instantly, you know, just turn somebody off. It's not common, it's screenable, but if you miss it, yeah, so the goal with Drakers, especially as they get older, you know, they dodge more and more and more bullets, and eventually you just don't dodge the right bullet. So, car accident, slipping and falling in the shower, though not nearly as much in the modern age. You know, like, any little thing can still kill a Draker. They're less common. It's a lot harder to kill a Draker by having them fall in the shower. And it's why the average age of Drakers goes from about 5,000 to, in the Space Age stuff, about 7, is because a slip and fall in the shower that might have killed you, that might have killed you as, you know, 2,000 years ago, is now something that, like, there are advanced trauma units that can recover, that can save your life. And while Drakers are horrified by physical damage that affects the eyes and the face, they are still a society that has long ago learned to be adaptive, right? Like, a Draker who is paralyzed for all of their life is going to... accommodations are going to exist. Or a Draker who is born with... because that person is going to be alive for, in theory, ever, right? And so, and they matter in Draker cult, like, so they become, like, those kinds of accommodations exist. Some of those accommodations are the sci-fi trope of, like, yeah, you've lost an arm, but we've got magic and we've got technology. We can make you a new arm. Or you were born with a, you know, arm defect, like what is it? Malformed arm kind of thing. But we can like give you tech to effectively make that adaptation really good. But the key thing is there's very little that and there are some things that like the magic can effectively remove, but largely they are still adaptations, which is very deliberate. Like, at no point are they erasing a disability, but they are having existing and high quality adaptations. Though there was probably a point in their history where they were attempting to cure disability, because that is something that makes sense as something that has occurred in their history. Yeah, there's a note. So, as part of their beauty ideals, there are good scars, scars you've earned in battle, but anything that damages the eye is considered a disfigurement. It's considered it is a horrifying thing.
I'm receiving a priority call.
At least in the Imperium and the Empire. In the Dominion and the DRU, scars are considered ugly. Especially in the DRU, right? Your body is... The DRU beauty standards are going to be, not body purity like American body standards, but they're going to be your body's natural shape, or within gender fluidity, acknowledging gender fluidity shape. No scars. If you lost an arm, your prosthetic is designed to be non-visible in the DRU. Whereas in the Imperium, if your prosthetic is a big, glowy chrome thing, that's like in the Imperium, that's cool. And that's just because the DRU has the appearance of strength. And the appearance, so like, it's about hiding those kind of examples of failure or injury or whatever, while also acknowledging certain things. It's weird. I'm gonna make the DRU not quite a horrible place to be somebody who has a disability, but there's gonna be like levels of standard in the DRU and the Dominion. Because it'll probably be things like, doesn't matter if you're not able to walk. But, if you've taken an injury. But tattoos are not a popular thing in any of the immortal societies. It's weird. Body ideal stuff, especially as you get into talking about things like physical and mental disabilities, get really funky. But the goal is to have a culture that doesn't have no problems, but what problems it has are minor, and not egregious, not discriminate. You know, you want the cult. I want the culture to be comforting, while also having things like this culture doesn't like visible prosthetics. They don't mind non-visible prosthetics, but does that all make sense? That was a lot of rambling, I know. Alright. So, Artavan is second generation. He had a sister and two non-binary gender fluid siblings. Those siblings did have kids. One kid of his sister died from a heart condition. His nephew from his sister is still alive but doesn't have kids. One of his other siblings left as part of the repudiation campaign and stayed in what became the DRU, died of some disease, had 5 kids. There's an entire branch of Javerka in the DRU. Probably with a slightly different name. It might be Javera. Oh yeah, it is. Javer. I know what Javerka means. Okay. So ka is the suffix for planet. And so his parents took the name for themselves as part of the frontier. So Jir needs to mean something, or Ver needs to mean something, but it's something of planet. So I'm wondering if Ver is if there's a planet name with Ver. Jir needs a meaning, maybe, or it needs to be part of a meaning. Jir. But it's basically like, we'll use hope for an example. Hope of Ver. So it means hope from planet, like, for example, it's not actually what it means, but Javerka basically means hope of planet from planet Ver, or of planet Ver, because they are a brand new family. They have no history, just some personal wealth. So they take on the name of the planet they are settling down on to have children. They take on a word that means something to them. Pioneers and colonists, like, the Imperium is an or the Empire, the Dralian Empire is an imperial culture. They are colonizing worlds, you know. And that is a thing, that is a fact of this. I'm aware of it, but it's a fact of this place. But yeah, basically it is some kind of name relating to a planet. They belong of a planet that is their homeworld. He needs a homeworld. That's really funny. Where do I have note? That's cool. I like that concept for his last name. I don't know what it means yet, but I like that concept for his last name. It may even be... Whew. I didn't get any words down, but that was some much-needed world building. But it also means Kaywar technically has extended family that isn't just adopted. That is like, well, okay. The mortal cadet branch of the Javerka clan, which is Artavan's, adopted mortal nephew family, who survives, basically an alien invasion. What species of mortal do they have? Do they have a human? Do they have an Atlar? Do they have a Halinwa? Carnavan? Is Frauk from that line? Is that where Frauk comes from? Is Frauk part of the Javerka cadet branch? Not that I'm sure you remember who Frauk is, the Carnavan healer. Nice. Him. Frauk is he, but there was also a female Draker healer there. But that would explain. Yeah, he was mentioned. Yep. So, there is a Javerka, so they are Carnavan clan. Minor character details, Frauk. His clan is technically a Javerka clan. Javerka line. X greats. That's actually really cool. And it explains why Kaor was so excited for whatchamacallit, Pokana. Pokana Torban is because she grew up. There's an entire family of cousins she grew up with who are Carnavan, like straight up. So the DRU has a Jivaral clan, which is the former branch, like, is the DRU branch of the Javerkas. That's cool. Technically, Carnavan clan name is clan name, pack name, personal name. So clan name. So Frauk's actual name here is Javerka. I don't have a pack name for him. Frauk. Which is cool. And also it makes sense, right? Like, why would you not store a whole bunch of you know, if you have Javerka and they're your family healers. Oh. No. I don't know how pack names are determined, so, fuck. But that is the clan name, is Javerka. That's cool. And so what this tells us is that Kaor doesn't have any siblings. But she has cousins. She has a bunch of cousins. And like technically the Staccatas and like Rowan is adopted family, right? She has all these adopted family. Oh no, yeah, sorry, not the Katosovians. There's two Raelias. That's confusing. So she has adopted family, but not, and blood cousins, but no siblings. That was really useful. I really need to pee. I will be right back. Alright, I return. And, well, we've been streaming. Democrats won a vote to include witnesses in the impeachment trial, and then proceeded to decide that they didn't want to do that because... cooperation? Yes, me too. Have a good one, River. I've got about 20 minutes left in mine in the stream. And then I've got to clean my apartment. Alright, got a bunch of that done. DRU has a government. Dominion has a loose idea of a government. do you spell conscience? Conscience. No, that's consension. Cision. Alrighty. Got all my world building out of the way. I've got about 15 minutes left. I might call this stream early by a couple minutes, because I don't have enough time left. I don't remember why I went down this rabbit hole. Hey Marty, how you doing? I think I might be wrapping though, since I've got like 2 minutes left, or like 11 minutes left, and I've done all the world building I was planning to do. Not enough time to focus, and I have to go clean my apartment. So yeah, I'm gonna actually end up wrapping them right here, just because I don't think I'm gonna get anything substantive done in the next 11 minutes, and I might as well start cleaning my apartment. Thank you everybody who came and hung out. Thank you Joey for the follow. Thank you Marty for the lurk. Everybody have a good one. I don't think there's any reason I won't be back next Saturday. Roughly same time. There's a chance I'll do another stream in the middle of the week, because I've been in a very writery mood. But I don't know for sure. Everybody have a good day and a good week, and I'll see everybody later.